with the design plans for those buildings, the way he felt about architectural design was very influential. And Mises' philosophy was very simple. He coined the phrase, less is more. What he meant by that is the less ornamentation and decorations you put on the outside of a building, the more form and function you're able to afford to put inside the building so the occupants are more comfortable. Coming up ahead on the right is a little building with giant X's on the outside of it. That's the old Commodities Exchange. It's a great way to show you how the Hancock building was constructed, but on a smaller scale. Just like the Hancock building, both were designed by Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill, but neither one of those buildings has columns inside holding up the different floors or the ceiling for that matter. The giant X's on the outside of both buildings, not for decoration. They're structural. They're called cross bracings. The cross bracings hold up the buildings from the outside, so the outside of the building does all the work, and then on the inside, you get extra square footage because there's no columns. It's pretty ingenious. So gateway number 4 after this bridge was built in 1983, and this one is a good example of contextualism. Contextual architecture is when a building takes into consideration its site and its surroundings. So it has a gentle curve that follows a natural bend in the river, and it uses green tinted glass windows like a lot of other buildings on the river to mimic the natural color of the water. We do dye this river really bright green for St. Patrick's Day. Not a myth, happens every year. But the river is naturally this pale shade of green because of the clay bottom, the algae that grows on it, and the infusion of Lake Michigan water. Next up on the right, another behemoth of a building. This is the old Central Post Office, built in 1932 by Graham, Anderson, Probst, and White. When in operation, it was the largest in the world. The reason we needed that much space is because Chicago is once home to a lot of mail-order catalog businesses like Sears and Roebuck. If you're old enough like me and remember when we used to get those catalogs in the mail, especially at Christmas, they were huge. That's why they needed 2.7 million square feet of floor space. But when the catalog companies started moving out of the city into the suburbs, we were left with this big, rambling building that became inefficient simply because it was so large. Inefficient is code for they were losing people's mail. So they shut her down in 1996 and built a new one. You might recognize the old post office if you're fans of the Batman movies that have been filmed here. For example, The Dark Knight. They use the old post office as the bank that they robbed at the beginning. And if you've seen the third Transformers, they filmed a lot here a couple summers ago. Me and Shia LaBeouf had a thing. They use the post office as the Department of Health and Human Services. I know that it looks run down. It's a post office. It belongs to the federal government. Has a lot of red tape, and there's been a lot of talk over the years what's going to happen to that beautiful historic building. A few years ago, I got excited. The big rumor was they were going to turn it into a casino. Oh, I was jazzed. Well, they shot that down. I realized I'm never going to get to be a blackjack dealer, but they did finally sell it 2 years ago to Bill Davies for $24 million. Last I heard, he was planning on spending a couple of $1 billion to turn it into a mixed-use facility. We're talking a shopping mall, hotel space, condos, the whole shebang. Hopefully it turns out nicely. Oh, but you look at that. Right next door to the old post office, they built the new one. Makes it easy for the tour guides. Yeah, the new post office was built in 1996 by Knight and Associates. This one is about a quarter the size of the old one and almost fully automated, so they are very efficient, no more losing mail. Should anybody need a location for your upcoming wedding or bar mitzvah, you rent out the lobby of the new post office. I don't know why either, but you can. That's the end of that story, I promise. But this part of the South Branch is a very opportune time to talk to you guys about the Great Chicago Fire. On the evening of October 8th, 1871, a huge fire broke out south and west of here at 558 West of Coven. It leveled Chicago. Almost 5 square miles burnt to the ground. That included 17,450 buildings. Sadly, that night, 300 people lost their lives, and about 100,000 people, which is a third of the population, they became instantly homeless. A disaster of that magnitude, a lot of things came together to make it happen the way it did. We had a drought all summer long. Everything around here was bone dry. Not a good situation considering things back then around here were made out of wood.